Question 3 is on exponential functions. Now for this type of question, generally they are not too difficult to solve. They should be a giveaway questions. Now if you see this type of question in exams, you should be able to tackle them efficiently, because the steps to do such a question is actually pretty straightforward and is very systematic. Once you are able to get the hang of the steps and know what are the values to substitute in, and know how to actually use the laws of logarithm to solve for the unknown, you are good to go, because this question type is generally not difficult. So let's go through question 2. A slice of bread is toasted in an oven to a temperature of 154 degrees Celsius. So we are starting from 154 degrees Celsius. It is subsequently left to cool in such a way that its temperature, T degrees Celsius, after the removal from the oven is given and described by this equation. T equals to 26 plus, big T equals to 26 plus big A times e to the power of minus kt, where big A and k are constants and T is the time after removal from oven in minutes. Okay, so for 2 part I, right, how do we find the value of A over here? Now we know that this equation over here, okay, this exponential equation over here describes the cooling of the temperature after the removal of the slice of bread from the oven, which means that at T equals to 0, and this is a common step when you do such a question, you will find yourself quite often substituting T equals to 0 to solve for an unknown. Okay, so at T equals to 0, it makes sense to say that the temperature big T is actually equals to 154 degrees Celsius, right? So 154 equals to 26 plus A e to the power of 0. Because here I'm substituting 154, and over here I am actually substituting T equals to 0, so the whole power over here becomes 0. And we know that e to the power of 0 over here is 1, so 154 equals to 26 plus A, and therefore A is actually equals to 128. So that is the value of big A. So let's do part 2. So what does the value 26 represent? So this is more of a knowledge question. Now 26 is actually, it represents the room temperature. So moving on to part 3, it says that when T equals to 2, the temperature of the bread is 116 degrees Celsius. So find the value of K. So what you do is just perform the substitution based on the values given in the question. So this type of question is just trying to solve for unknown based on the values given to you by the question. So when T equals to 2, the temperature big T is actually 116. So substituting these two values here and here, we are going to solve for the value of K. So 116 equals to 26 plus, we know that A is 128 based on part I. So this is actually e to the power of minus k, e to the power of minus 2k, because we substituted T equals to 2. So now we need to solve this equation. I'm going to bring 26 over to the left hand side, and then subsequently I divide 128 over. So this gives me e to the power of minus 2k equals to 116 minus 26 over 128. And From this equation, we are going to take the natural logarithm on both sides. We get ln e to the power minus 2k equals to ln 90 over 128. Now, using the power law, right, let's write this out. ln e to the power minus 2k, I can bring down the minus 2k using the power law, and this will be ln e, but we know that ln e is 1, so this is in fact just equals to minus 2k. So minus 2k equals to ln 90 over 128. Okay, so solving for this, just key in your calculator, we can see that k is approximately equals to, let me evaluate it, is approximately equals to 0.176, rounded off to 3 significant figures. And we are done with 2 part 3. So moving on to the last part of the question. The toasted bread is recommended to be consumed at a temperature of 45 degrees Celsius. So determine with clear working the waiting time in minutes after removal from the oven before consuming the toasted bread. So we know that our A is 128, and we know that our K, okay, my apologies. So here you should, in between this step, right, you should write the value of K, which is approximately equals to 0.17611. Usually for intermediate workings, you write it to 5 significant figures, and at times when you are required to solve another part of the question that requires the values of these constants that you have found, you should use the 5 SF values instead of the 3 SF values. So for part 4 over here, we are going to use K as 0.17611, okay, which means that the equation of the equation that we will be using for part 4 will be big T equals to 26 plus 128 e to the power of minus 0.17611 t. Okay, so let's recap part 4 again. We are given the bread, the recommended temperature to be 45 degrees Celsius, and we need to find the waiting time in order for the temperature to drop from 154 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius. So we just have to solve for this t, the time here, and we are done with part 4. Okay, that will give us the waiting time. So I'm going to substitute big T equals to 45. So 45 equals to 26 plus 128 e to the power of minus 0.17611 t, and e to the power of minus 0.17611 t is equals to this. Now same thing, I'm going to take the natural logarithm on both sides of the equation. So this, after taking the natural logarithm on the left hand side, we get minus 0.17611 t. Okay, so for those of you who don't understand, okay, it's the same as before. ln e to the power of minus 0.17611 t, using the power law, we can bring it down, and this multiplied by ln e, this gives us minus 0.17611 t. Okay, because ln e over here is actually 1. So this is equals to 45 minus 20, sorry, this is actually equals to ln 19 over 128. Now keying in your calculator, we get that t is approximately equals to 10.8 minutes, right? So based on sorry, one moment. Yeah, so because the t here is in minutes, so t will be approximately equals to 10.8 minutes, rounded off to 1 decimal place. Okay, which means that the waiting time is 10.8 minutes after removal from the oven. Okay, so that's pretty much it for question number 3. Pretty much a straightforward question. Usually follows a systematic steps. You just have to substitute the values, t equals to 0, or based on what the values the questions throw at you, you substitute it, you solve for the unknown. Usually what you have to do always in this type of question is you have to take the logarithms on both sides of the equation and then key in your calculator and solve for the unknown. Okay, generally not a very hard type of question. It's a giveaway question, so you make sure to understand the flow of this question and how I have presented it.